A couple of weeks ago when Chief Uziel spoke with me on the telephone, I was in a little island called St. Vincent, and it has an attachment of the Grenadines, so it is usually referred to as St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm sure you would have heard that before. Now that island is 150 square miles in area, which means it can hold in Brooklyn a lot of times. And if you drive too fast in St. Vincent, fortunately, you might end up in the sea. So you mightn't get hurt so badly once you could swim. But I was sharing with him that I must go back a little further, because in about 2010, I was in King's Plaza, and I ran into this young man. I saw him, I looked at him, he looked at me. We looked like we knew each other, but we didn't know each other at all. Now, I used to be a Seventh-day Adventist pastor.
Wow. Amen.
Pastored for almost 30-something years. Everybody called me pastor. You know, Pastor Nichols, everywhere. I baptized lots of people. So in 2010, when I ran into this young man at King's Plaza, and we looked at each other, we thought we knew each other, but we really didn't know each other. He was from St. Lucia, and I was from St. Vincent. And St. Lucia from St. Vincent is not too far by sea. Nonetheless, I looked at him, he exchanged names and stuff like that, and he gave me a card. Now, the card had Shema Israel, which was in Saratoga. Right. I kept that card for about 2 years before I decided to visit that place. In the meantime, I was still preaching, doing stuff backward and forward, working with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, who also, by the way, keeps the Sabbath. You know that. Right. There came a point in time when I thought I was going to be picked up to be working with the conference, but it never happened. And so every minute the members of the church would say, well, what happened, Pastor? What happened? But I never knew what happened. Subsequently, I went to a church in Bushwick, and a very good friend of mine who was the pastor there said, come here. When I went, he took me into a long passage of rooms and stuff like that. You know why they're not picking you up? I said, no, I don't know. I'm confused, because I spoke in all the churches. I went in Maryland, I went to Connecticut, New Jersey. I was a very popular preacher, getting lots of appointments, not by payment, but just by review. He said, they are making a statement that you try to unseat a president. And it never happened. I don't know why it happened. And I keep questioning myself, wonder why this is happening to me all the time. Can't figure it out. But as time rolled on, I decided one day, let me come to Shema Israel in Saratoga. And when I got there, I felt different. You know, this is my testimony. I felt different. In the meantime, I'm having a problem with my wife, because she don't want to hear nothing else but the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She has lots of friends in there, you know. And I came one time, and I came 2 times, and I came 3 times. That time I used to come a little bit more often. Right. And I began to enjoy the service. We call it service. Now, you have a different vocabulary that you use, so I have to keep quiet sometimes when I'm learning your vocabulary. Right. And I began to enjoy, and then you moved from there, then you came here, and then I followed you a little bit, and here I am. So when he spoke with me about 2 weeks ago, I said, in St. Vincent, there are 99.9 Christians. 99.9 Christians, approximately. St. Lucia, the same thing. Trinidad, the same thing. And me and my wife struggling to uphold the ways of the Hebrew Israelite. I am known as a pastor. People still call me pastor. You know, and the challenge of living up to the Israelite way of life and still have to hear pastor. And even when you're praying, sometimes you hear, in Jesus' name comes out your mouth. You have to say, oops. When I used to come to the Israelite church more often, this church, every time I walk in here, they invite me to sit there. And I had a feeling that somebody was saying something about me every time I walked in, because every time I came in here, he could tell you, he was talking about Jesus. Was he saying something good about Jesus? Not necessarily. And every time I walk and I sit there, I say, what is going on here? And so I was going through this contradiction in my mind. Jesus, the Most High, Yehovah, Yah, you know. And even when you're trying to control your vocabulary by not using the word Jesus, automatically it comes out, because for 27 years I was preaching this. And that is not easy.
Amen.
But praise Yah,
Hallelujah.
I made it thus far.
Amen.
And today, just this morning, I was speaking to my wife, and she was saying she's home. You know, we go online on D.C.B. and we listen what we hear. And, you know, and I must admit, however, that Christianity precipitates my connection with the Most High Yah. And you have to accept that. Had I not been a Christian, I might not have been in the church, I might not have had the interest to go further.
Amen.
So I don't criticize people.
Amen.
I'm very, very careful not to criticize anybody who chooses to worship which way, because sooner or later, if in truth and in fact they are Hebrew Israelite, the Most High Yah will bring them over. Just like he did me. However, I must say that there needs to be some sort of a mechanism or some type of way that we can share information, not by trying to coerce them or by trying to bulldoze them into coming into this way of life, but at least let them hear it and let them see it. And you must live a life of respect, so that when they see you, they can see that you are in contact with the Most High Yah. You know, if you should go any which way, anyhow, it doesn't look right. You must look dignified. You must look a way that people might want to come. They must want to come when they see you. You can't look anyhow. And one thing we have to be careful about is our ego.
That's right.
Amen.
That ego is a killer. Ego. It is a killer. When you feel that you're something, and in truth, in fact, you're just like everybody else, it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right, and then you will suffer for that. You know. So I just really want to encourage you guys to do as much as you can. And by the way, you guys gotta come. Some of you gotta come over to St. Vincent.
Come next week, man.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Come next week.
Somebody come over to St. because I'm struggling over there. I told one of the brothers outside that perhaps what we need to do is to just have like a little discussion on the radio, on TV. I could get that organized, and we're just talking, just having a conversation. It doesn't have to be telling people you better than me and I better than you. When you look in Brooklyn, where I live most of my time, I've been here, it's about 7 to 10 churches on one block, and it's all Christian churches, and they don't speak the same thing. There's always this clash and this competition. Who is better than who? Who has the better doctrine? Who is the true church? These are issues that the churches contend with. I listened to the brother this morning, I'm thinking, wow. He talked about the variations of personalities within the context of this particular congregation here, because one person comes from one place, the other person comes from another place, another person being exposed to something else, and therefore we are all amalgamating here, in order so that we can form a unification, so that people can see that we're unified. But is it that easy? No.
Amen.
It's not that easy. However, what I thought in my mind, I could be wrong and maybe you're right, is that because we are in a hostile place, because this is not our place,
Amen.
because we are in a foreign land, because we are oppressed right here, anything can happen.
That's right.
Amen.
Anything can happen. And so we have to recognize that because of all these variations, we will always have these differences. Sometimes I'll have somebody pushing me, and somebody pulling me, and somebody feel that I should wear this, and some person say, what happened to your hat, or what happened to your hair, what happened to your head? And therefore there's all these frictions among us. And so we cannot really always focus and concentrate on what we're being taught. But we must recognize that this is not our home.
Amen. Amen.
That's right.
And once we are in a foreign place, it will happen. Along with that, you have some people in this place who don't like us. I'm not talking about inside here. In this country, I'm talking, period. Okay? We're not loved.
Amen.
The brother talked about the blue-eyed Jesus. You know, and I listened to him very carefully, you know, and they use that all along. I mean, earlier along, they used to have 3 dolls, and they asked the black sisters to choose one, and they choose a white one.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
They choose a white one. Because they see it all the time on TV. They see the long hair on TV. The TV is bombarding the media so that we are completely indoctrinated and brainwashed.
Right.
And so that will not necessarily be easy. God bless you.
Hallelujah.